All right. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this bonus episode of CarnivorousGrama Speaks. I'm super excited to be here tonight. My name is Robin Heron, and I'm your CarnivorousGrama, and I'm happy to be here tonight with Laura at Healthy Carnivore. Hey, Laura.
Hello.
Welcome,
Glad to
welcome,
be here.
welcome. I'm so glad that you were able to accept my invitation. It's been about a year, almost 18 months on carnivore for me. And so at 6 months, I had my labs drawn. Everything looked good. And I was talking to my husband a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, I was telling him that I had not had my labs drawn again in the last, I don't know, whatever it is, since the 6 month carnivore mark, almost a year ago. And he was like, "I'm telling everybody that you're doing good. You need to get those labs done." So on my birthday last Monday, I went and had my labs drawn, and I asked Laura if she would come in and review them with me for my YouTube channel. So I appreciate you, Laura. I appreciate your
You're welcome.
expertise, your willingness to come in here and do this with me tonight. So we're gonna follow your lead tonight, and you can
Okay.
tell us how we want to roll here. I have my labs up on the screen. So you just let me know how you want to approach this.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you a couple things, which you may not remember 100%. When you did your labs at the 6 month mark, do you remember if you were fasted?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And then the same for these, you were fasted again.
Well,
Okay.
so this
So that,
time, yeah, this time I had coffee in the morning.
Mhm.
So I can't
Okay.
remember if I
Yeah.
think I was not drinking coffee back then, but I did have coffee this
Right.
time in the morning
Yep.
before I went to have
Yeah.
them.
Which most of the time is not really going to affect any of the readings, but I do want people to understand this new phenomenon that is happening with clinics now. I'd like to say I don't know why they're doing it, but I do know why they're doing it. So they're now telling people that you do not have to be fasted for your hemoglobin A1C, your
Oh,
lipid profile, any of that. And I
wow.
absolutely unequivocally disagree 100%. Whether I'm a nurse, doctor, doesn't matter. Common sense. You can't go have a cheeseburger and go have these things done and think it's not going to affect those numbers, because it is going to. Even the hemoglobin A1C, even though it's a 3 month check of
Yeah.
what your blood sugars have, it's still going to be altered by what you did today when you have
Okay.
that test done. So I just tell everybody, if my doctor says, "Hey, we need labs," I'm fasting. I don't even care what it is, because it's not going to throw it off that you're
Right.
fasted, but it can throw numbers off if you're not. I've had
Okay.
200-point differences in my lipid panel, not only and not only from being fasted, but from exercising and fasting too long. So I had been on
Mhm.
like a 2, 3 day fast, ran several miles, went and had my labs done, and my lipids were crazy high. Everything was
Wow.
high. My triglycerides were low, but that's part of how the body works, is when you need energy and you need these things, then the protein part of your cholesterol takes those and drops stuff off.
Okay.
So it's going to be higher. So
Interesting.
that's one thing, is just to know that if your doctor says you need to do these tests, you need to be fasted. And I wouldn't be fasted for longer than 12, 14 hours, no
Okay.
exercise. I would just go in fasted. Coffee's okay, tea's probably fine. I don't know that there's anything it's going to throw off. So
Okay.
I'm going to go over what a couple of these labs even mean, so that people kind of know what we're looking at.
Okay.
Um, So the first thing I'm going to go over, which is MCV, which is down in your CBC, your complete blood count, and what
Okay.
that is stands for the mean corpuscular volume. It's the measurement of the average size of your red blood cells in that sample. And
Oh,
so what I have noticed is that with being carnivore, mine are a little smaller than they were back in the day. So,
interesting.
and I think looking at yours is a little bit smaller either, which is not a bad thing. It's just not where they expect to see it, because labs are set up on people on the standard American diet. And so it's a cookie cutter size.
Mhm.
Another lab that a lot of times you'll see a difference in when you are carnivore is the MCH, which is the mean corpuscle hemoglobin, which is a measurement of the average size of the hemoglobin. So that's not uncommon. The other thing is we do tend to have a higher red blood cell count than people who are on the standard American diet. And that is because it generally was an accepted idea that every 90 days, basically, you've got these new ones coming up. Same with like your hemoglobin, because that's part of the cell. But we're seeing with people that are doing carnivore that they last longer, 120, 130 days. So of course those numbers are going to go higher.
Right.
So just know that is something out there. And then a normal blood glucose level really is 70 to 99 if you are not diabetic. If you are diabetic, they say they want you like 90 to 110, um, until you're able to get off of insulin and oral medications. Once you're able to do that and you have reversed your type 2 diabetes, then 70 to like 99 is perfectly normal, and even lower. I run 50, 55 most of the time.
Okay. Mhm.
And I have plenty of energy, so I'm not on death's door.
All right.
Um, yep. Another thing are liver enzymes, because a lot of people ask me about their liver enzymes, which is in like your complete metabolic panel, CMP or BMP. So the first one is your AST. That is an enzyme that's found in the liver. It's in the heart. It's in the muscles. It is what helps break down amino acids. So if those are a little elevated, I'm not worried about that, because we're taking in food full of amino acids. So I would
Okay.
expect that. Um, ALT is alanine transaminase. That is known as an enzyme that's also found in the liver, although it does kind of exist in other parts of the body, but it is also a part that helps break down, the amino acids.
Okay.
So most of these enzymes are just a type of protein in the cell that acts as a catalyst. So it helps get things going where they need to go, and to help allow the body processes that we kind of have, breaking things down, getting rid of them, cleaning house, starting over with new stuff. There are thousands and thousands, and I mean thousands of enzymes and enzyme functions in the body. So all right. If you want to pull up your old and your new,
All
I'll kind
right.
of go over some of the things I saw.
Okay, very good. So I
Yeah.
see some folks in the chat. Just want to say hello. Hey, Drax of the North. So glad that you're here. Drax of the North said that Dave Feldman recommends 12 to 14-hour fast for lipid blood test.
Yeah. I do 12. I don't do much more than that. Like I said, I
Mhm.
had done a longer one, and I threw my numbers off by 200 points, over 200 points, because the
Oh,
very
wow.
next day I went to my doctor's appointment, and I
Mhm.
had just fasted, I think 10 or 12 hours, didn't do a bunch of exercise, and it was 200 points lower. My doctor's like, "Oh, this is amazing." I was like, "Yeah, if you'd have seen what I had yesterday, you'd have had a heart attack." But that's okay.
Right.
They need
Okay,
to they
very
need to
good.
learn. Yeah, yeah.
And Renee is
So
here. Hey,
oh,
Renee.
oh,
So let me just say what we
yeah,
have here. Um, we have a side by side. Hopefully, this is not too small on you guys' screens, but on the left-hand side, I went and had my labs drawn at 6 months, which was last year, August 28th. And it says it was at 7:48 a.m. And then this year I went on July 22nd on 8:50 at 8:55 a.m. So this is what we're going to be reviewing today. Hey, Karen Harrington.
mhm.
All right,
Hey,
Laura.
guys. Yeah. So, this first page that she's got up is the complete blood count. That's the CBC. So it's going to show your white blood cells, red blood cells, your hemoglobin, hematocrit, things like that.
Hmm.
So you can see last time when she had this done at 6 months carnivore, she was within range on everything. The red blood cells 4.58, hemoglobin 12.3. This time, your red blood cells were 5.06. Your
Yeah.
hemoglobin was actually 12.9, which is good. I do know that on your new one, the red blood cells, they have you flagged as high. I disagree. Mine run up in the 6 range because we keep our blood cells longer. Plus, we're still making new ones being carnivores.
Okay.
So that looks
Okay.
great.
So
Yep.
it
Yep.
says 5.6, and then the reference range is 3.8 M
To
slash
4.8.
UL to 4.8
Mm-hmm.
M slash UL.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I'm a little over their
Yep.
reference range, which would be
Yep.
normal for carnivore, right?
Absolutely. I would expect if somebody's this is what I'll tell you. I'm not going to say who it is, but I did have somebody send me their labs quite a while back, and they were
Mhm.
like strict carnivores, da, 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 and none of their red blood cells, hemoglobin, hematocrit, MCH, MCV, none of those reflected that. And as we got talking further in, I would say they were not carnivore. They were, which is fine. They don't have to be, but
Right.
it just surprised me when I didn't see their, especially for 9 months. I would have expected to see some of these numbers going up.
Mhm.
And I did not see that. And then once we got down to it, it was like, well, I still put sugar in my coffee and I still do that. And I was like, okay, okay,
Oh.
which is okay. But,
Mhm.
it just threw off those. So, as for like your hematocrit, um, it's perfect. It went up a little bit higher. You were at 37.2. Now you're
Right.
40.4. Perfect.
Mhm.
Hematocrit's very important when it comes to our blood and how we clot and do things like that. So hematocrit, hemoglobin, platelets, very, very important. Yours are absolutely in range. So
Okay.
congratulations on that.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, I'm looking at your platelets. Yep. So that's all good.
Oh, so I should scroll down a little bit. Okay, so platelets are down
Yeah.
here.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah, your differential, like your basal cells, your neutros, your lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, those are basically like the baby bands, the baby starts of our bigger blood cells. So
Oh,
those are
okay. I
all
didn't know
within
what that
normal.
was.
Yep.
I had
Your
no idea.
eosinophils, eosinophil is going to show you if you're having like allergic reactions to things, or like
Oh,
if you have like around mold, cats, dogs, things that you're allergic to. If those go up, then you know that that's you've got an allergy to something because that's the eosinophils sending out the white blood
okay.
cell portion. I want to see what you were 2% last time and you're 1% now. So
Okay.
that is, yeah, so that is definitely good.
So, I mean,
Good,
I'm
right?
just wondering about, like, seasonal allergies. Would this be something that would be, um
Yes.
we would see this here, right? Is what you're saying?
Yes. Yep, yep, yeah. Because before, when even after I was keto 28 years, my eosinophils were always like 7, 8, 9
Mhm.
because I'm allergic to everything that's in my environment outside, and then I'm allergic to everything inside my house, including my cats, and I won't get rid of them. So I'm like, too bad. Now mine runs at about a 1.
Okay.
And I don't, yeah, I rarely take a Zyrtec. Once in a blue moon, like when they start taking down the cornfields and wheat and everything around here, I will probably take it proactively because I live in a town and they drive right past my house to get to the grain bin. So I
Yeah.
just don't want to have anything. And I may not need it, but I'm probably going to do it just to be on the safe side. So the
This is
next part, it
interesting. I
looks
would
like you.
really wanna, I kinda wanna go back and look at this from prior to carnivore. I do have some probably
Mhm.
prior labs that I could look at because I had seasonal allergies all of my life.
Yeah.
Terrible
Yeah.
seasonal allergies,
Mm.
and all seasons, doesn't matter. I'm allergic to things in every single season. And
Yep.
since I went carnivore, I've had a drastic reduction. I mean, drastic reduction in my seasonal allergies. So, where I was taking Zyrtec once or twice every day, plus
Mm.
Benadryl every day. for years. Now I'm taking, over the course of this spring and summer, I've probably taken 10 the entire time. So that's
That's pretty
really
good.
interesting. Yes. I mean, that's
Yeah.
shocking. That's not something that I thought could be. I didn't think that was one of the things that I was like, this is something was completely unexpected. I had no idea that seasonal allergies could go away.
Yeah. And before we get on to the urine, do you want to talk about your anemia? Because you are not anemic.
Yes. So we'll need to go back a little bit to
Yeah.
take a look at that,
Yep.
right? So that's like
Yep.
our hemoglobin, right?
Yeah. So the hemoglobin that you had at the 6 month mark of carnivore, you had already corrected it, but it's even better now. So I would say probably if you looked back at your lab work prior, the one right before you started carnivore, I think
Mm-hmm.
you would be surprised to see what your hemoglobin would be and your red blood cells. But yes, you are no longer. I mean, your red blood cells, like I said, you're 5.06. So, and you were not what I would call low. I've seen
Mm-hmm.
much lower than that, but I'd say looking at your paperwork as you go on and you keep improving, I would be interested if you went back and looked at your old and just to see
Mm-hmm.
what, because they did diagnose you as having anemia.
That's correct. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and, wanted me to be on iron pills, and iron pills cause all kinds of problems like constipation, which I already had IBS, which was I was struggling with. And I just kind of refused to take the iron. Um,
Yeah.
or they would say like eat some peanut butter or eat some liver and stuff like that, which I haven't. I do like liver, and I do eat it every now and then, but not
Mm,
not very often. So it's not like it's
mm,
the liver that's doing it. It's really just
right.
it's the meat. It's
It is.
incredible. This is
Well,
also, something I did not realize could be even addressed with diet, like that you could
yeah.
get over insulin, I mean not insulin, but iron deficiency anemia.
Yeah. That's due to the amount of vitamin B, the different B vitamins that are so prevalent in your red meat, because mine's off the charts, and and I think your B, we'll have to see where, I know on here I saw your vitamin B, um,
Mhm,
was up there pretty good. So I saw that on here somewhere. But anyway, so it was up there, which you have, and this is what I tell patients. I'll walk in their home and they're like, yeah, I'm anemic. And I'm like, oh, there's iron sitting there. And I was like, do you notice that when you go to the bathroom, it's exactly the same color as that tablet? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you think it's being used?
oh my
Nothing,
god,
because
nothing,
you have
yeah,
no folate, you have your vitamin B is low, all of these things are low. And I'm like, did they test these in your blood work? And suspiciously, they're not checked. And I'm like,
mm,
well, if I had an anemic patient, I would want to know, is it related to the folate? Because most of the people I've worked with, it's exactly related to folate.
oh
They may
wow,
not be able to methylate well either, but there are things they can do to help that too. But I'm
mhm,
just like, these pills, it just drives me insane. They're
yeah.
oh,
I
yeah,
I'm really I don't like to take pills,
yeah,
so, like I said, that iron, I just could not bring myself to actually take it. Same thing with multivitamins. I could
mhm,
not get myself to take multivitamin every day. The only one
yep,
that I really kinda stuck with was the vitamin D,
yep,
and I was on, like, 10,000 IU every day, and so my vitamin D was looking pretty good, after I started doing that, but, yeah, that was the only thing that I could literally get myself to take every day was the vitamin D.
yeah.
So,
That's
yeah.
about like my husband. That's what he does too now. He does take that every day.
Mhm.
But I don't even have to remind him anymore. He just
Yeah.
after he's seen me working with everybody and seeing their vitamin D levels get so much better in their bones and their teeth, and he's like, "Yeah, I just need to do it." So, and that's how my husband is like, the more I mention it, the less likely he's gonna do it, so I'm just like, "Psh, I'll say nothing,"
I hear you. I hear you.
which is
That
okay.
sounds
Yeah,
familiar.
it's just the way it is, yeah. So
Yep.
then looking at your urine,
Okay,
um,
let me scroll
your
down.
urine to begin with, the last time you had that done
Is this
already
it right here,
looked
UA?
pretty good. Yes, the
Okay.
UA, yep, macroscopic. Yep.
Okay.
So it looked pretty good, before, didn't have, you didn't have glucose or protein spilling in, your pH is perfect,
Okay.
your specific gravity is good, all of that looks good. The ketones, when you were just 6 months into doing, carnivore, you were 2 plus, which is
Yeah.
fine.
Mhm.
Um, now you're at 1 plus, which is also fine, and you don't have to have any in there to be in ketosis because our
Oh,
bodies get very smart and utilize those. But
gotcha.
a lot of people will take those urine strips to test their ketones. I didn't find those to be as accurate as doing
Yeah.
the like Keto Mojo and testing my
Mhm.
blood.
Mhm.
But I can tell that I'm in ketosis every day because of the way I eat. And I mean, you'd have to be when you don't take in anything that, you know, is going to go there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't have any white blood cells, any bilirubin spilling in, any nitrates spilling in. Let's see for this one. Yep. Yeah. Everything looks, yeah, yeah. Your blood work looks like a 20-year-old back in the day, not the 20-year-olds nowadays, because yours probably looks better than most of the 20-year-olds now.
Amazing. Wow,
Yes.
that makes me feel really, really good. Happy
Yeah.
about that.
No, it's really good. Your sodium was 141 when you had just been into it for about 6 months. Now you're 136, which is fine.
Okay.
Their
Uh,
range, they
I was
show
thinking, like
135. Go. Mhm.
yeah, I was thinking that sodium would be super high, like, everybody's so concerned about the amount of salt that I eat. Literally, they're like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, she's adding,"
Was
because most people are like, "I don't add any salt to my food." They don't salt their plate. They're like lightly salting when cooking and stuff like a lot of people in my family.
Mhm.
That is the guidance that they've been given. And so
Sure.
they're not salting. So I eat a ton of salt. So I was expecting my sodium to be higher.
Yeah.
Like,
So that tells you how much sodium the body truly needs for every cellular function. And to
mhm,
unlock cells, we have to have those in the right ratio to open up the cell so that the fluid can get into the cell. Otherwise, if you think of your of a hose with a bunch of water in it and then pieces of like dirt in there, and that's your blood cells, the pieces of dirt, and the fluid, the water is your blood, just
mhm,
like the plasma, the liquid portion of it. If you don't open up the cells to get the fluid into the cells, then it just makes more fluid in the blood volume, which then kicks it out to the kidneys, which is why people are in the bathroom 14 times a day and their sodium levels are not good. Where we take in the right amounts of sodium based on what our body kind of tells us it needs.
right.
And it does work in all those cells. And when they draw our blood, it looks like yours. I
Yeah.
don't have anybody on carnivore whose sodium is off the chart that's
Mm,
using as much salt as I have had none. I've had people using fake salt. I've had people using table salt, and
mhm.
theirs is off the chart,
Oh,
but I have
wow.
never had somebody do it, never. And I've probably
Mm.
now worked with over, well, probably close to 3,000 home health patients and
Wow.
probably 60 clients this year. And I have yet to see high sodium on anybody doing this lifestyle that's doing that extra. So I really don't believe for a minute that that's the issue. And I'm a hunter, and anybody that's a farmer knows that you put like these salt and mineral lick blocks out in the
Yes.
field. And
Yeah.
I even had a farmer one time. And he was saying, "Well, my doctor says I don't need salt." And I said, "Oh." I said, "What's that out there that the cows are at?" And he goes, "Oh, that's that salt and mineral lock because they all their cells need it." And I go, "Oh, so theirs do, but our cells don't need it. Okay." And he
Interesting.
goes, "Yeah, that don't make sense." And I was
No,
like,
that
"No,
don't.
it sure doesn't make sense."
Don't.
So yeah,
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 I've been trying to encourage family members that we're undersalted. Most of us are really undersalted rather than oversalted. And
we are.
so it's very, you know, it's another tough hill to climb, right? So
It
we're working on it.
is. Yes. Yeah. So I'm looking at like your chloride and your CO2.
Mhm.
Everything there looks excellent. Your anion gap is good. Glucose level, you were 94 last time. You were 86, which is perfect. That's an
Nice.
improvement for sure.
Mhm.
BUN is fine.
What is
Your
BUN?
creatinine, that is your urine and nitrogen content. So that is like the bilirubin, stuff like that, as it's being broke down and being processed through the blood system to get out of the body to the urine, wherever it's going to go. That is just showing like if you had a lot of like nitrogen, if you had a lot of nitrates, if you had issues like that, that would show up here. If
Mhm.
your kidneys were not filtering and functioning, BUN and creatinine and GFR are those three things that we really kind of look at to get a snapshot of how your kidneys are processing what you're putting through them. Because they are your filter. So think of like your oil filter, your air
Mhm.
filter on the car. Our liver and our kidneys are our filters.
Yeah,
So yours is absolutely where it needs to be. Both
super.
that, the creatinine is another byproduct that shows how well it's being, put through there. Your GFR, perfect.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's look at the calcium and the albumin. Calcium, yep, is perfect. So, and calcium has such a tight range. Do you see where it's 8.4 to 10.3?
Yes.
It is, yes, it's one of those electrolyte type things, vitamin, whatever you mineral, whatever you want to call it. It's actually a mineral, but it's very important with the function of the way the heart works. So that's why some of the medications people take for blood pressure are calcium
Mhm.
channel blockers. So
Oh,
like amlodipine, anything that
mhm.
ends in PINE is a calcium channel blocker, and it helps with the way the heart runs, the electrical system. Yours is perfect, but there is a tight range, and you can tell if you get out of that range, you would know it very,
Okay,
very quickly.
great.
But that's perfect. Your albumin is perfectly normal. Your protein is excellent. And in fact, here you've been carnivore all this time, and your
Mhm.
protein is 7.2, and it was 7.5. So it's even went down.
Wow.
Yeah. So everything on here. Let's see, your AST, yep, 21. So you're well within their range. ALT, you're at 13. You're well within their range too.
Yeah.
Some people um, try to get their AST down even lower.
Mhm.
I say if you're feeling fine, your numbers look perfect. I would not be concerned about your liver or your kidneys because they're doing great. Um,
Okay. So
funny thing.
just a point that I wanted to say is for some reason, I was having, like, to have my liver checked out. They were doing biopsies on it, they were doing these
Mhm,
studies
mhm.
on it. I'm not sure what they thought I had. I don't know, maybe I just blocked it out, like, what they thought I had, but
Yeah.
so, I've always had a little bit of a concern, like, maybe I had something going on with my liver because they were doing all this studying on it and stuff,
Well,
so I'm
you
happy to.
don't anymore. Yeah, you might have at one point, but nope. everything looks completely fine there. You probably had fatty liver disease.
Mhm.
And they maybe didn't even say that, but that's
Right.
probably what they were checking you for. Um,
Mhm.
so, but absolutely looking at this, you do not have that. So I would not worry about that. Let's see, your magnesium is good. And this is funny. So this is something I had somebody reach out to me about their hemoglobin A1C. So I'm
Mhm.
sure if you watch Dr. Ken Berry, you have heard him talk about a glycated albumin test is more
Yes.
accurate than that hemoglobin A1C. And right here,
Okay.
you can see you went from 5.5 to
Mhm.
5.7. Now, it's not because you have more glucose running through your blood system, it's because you have more of the hemoglobin in the system to be
Ah,
glycated. So you just have more of them because they're living longer. Plus, we're still making them at the intervals that we make them. So that is why I tell people if you get a hemoglobin A1C and it looks like that, it's fine. If you're
okay.
still concerned, ask for a glycated albumin. I would not be concerned with that at all. At
Okay.
all. So, oh,
Super.
here's where it goes into your vitamin B. So, your vitamin B, when you had only been carnivore for like 6 months, had already come up really well.
Okay.
It was a 1122. But now you're 1578. So you've come up even better. I think it mine was all it said was greater than 2000. So they have no idea, but I eat a lot of beef and I don't do the chicken or anything else. But
Right.
so that's great because that vitamin B being like that is what helps make sure that you are getting everything you need for the new blood cells to start so that you're not anemic. Works
So let me
fine.
ask this
You don't
question. Look at my range. It's 1578. The reference range ends at
Mhm.
1074. So is there anything that
Yeah,
should be concerned about with being over the reference range?
you're gonna have no, no, nope.
Okay.
I've been over 2,000 for about 6 years,
Okay. Yeah.
and I haven't grown a second head, and so
Okay.
no. Nope, nope, I think you will be just fine. Triglycerides look great, 63. Anything under 150 is what I was taught, 149, whatever they wanna call it. Is completely fine. Let's see, your cholesterol actually has went down.
Mhm.
So you were at 216, which is still fine, and they have you at 208 now, which
Right.
is fine. 300 and 350 used to be the norm, so I'm not
Okay.
concerned with any of that. Let's see, your LDL is 78. It was 136. That is fine.
Oh, that one's HDL.
Um, oh,
Yeah.
HDL. Yep,
HDL. Yep.
78. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. So, and where were you? Oh, you were 69. So, yep, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're bringing that up, which
HDL
I
is
like to
like
have that.
quote unquote good cholesterol, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and that's the one that like I had trouble getting that brought up because I I can eat fish, but I'm not a fan and I can't do seafood. So I have limited amounts of stuff that I can do that helps that.
mhm.
Exercise does help bring that up. So
Okay.
doing that or if you're able to do, the seafood and fish like that with the good omega 3s is a good way to get that up. But yeah, yours is good. Let's see, your LDL was 136, you're 117, so you are well. I see how they don't give any ranges for the LDL. That's funny.
Right. I noticed that.
Even that, and it's funny because that's the one they like to really throw out to scare the heck out of people to
Mhm.
be like, "Oh, yeah, you're lousy." Because when I was in nursing school, the way they had us remember HDL was that was the healthy and LDL was the lousy, and that's not true, but that's what we were taught. Um, but no, your LDL is fine. I think mine's I don't know if it's I gotta pull mine down now for a second to see because it's been a while. I'm getting ready to do mine again in the next
Mhm.
few weeks, so I'm excited to see. Yeah, my LDL was 194 last time, so
Oh, okay.
and here I am still alive,
Still
so
alive and
there you
kicking.
go. Yeah, still good. It's okay.
Yes.
Um, so TSH, let's see,
What
2.5.
is the
Yeah, so that is good.
cholesterol, HDL ratio?
Ratio. That's just where
Yeah,
they take the HDL and divide, the
that's
LDL, and they give it a ratio. I forget what they used to call it. They may say it on mine. They have a little term that they use for that. Da, da,
mhm.
da. I'm just going to see if they said on mine because they did the same thing. So it's basically they're saying it's telling you what the chances of your like having a heart attack or a stroke. So anything, what my paperwork says, anything below 3.5 is considered good. So
Okay,
you're, yeah, you're 2.5. So you're way within range. And I would be more concerned. I wouldn't be concerned unless my triglycerides were crazy high,
right,
which
okay.
can be worked on. Yep. Yep. So,
Awesome.
let's see. Did they do a TSH before on your
Yes.
last blood work? Was it on a different page?
It's on the last page, it looks like.
On your first
Um,
one?
mhm,
Oh,
yep,
yeah, yeah. Yep.
yep.
Yep. Oh, look at you. Look at what that cholesterol has done for your hormones.
Oh, man, that's great.
Yes, it is.
I'm actually aging in
Wow.
reverse, right?
Yes, you are. Yeah, your TSH is even better than mine. That's good.
Wow.
Very good. Yeah. Yep. So that's
Okay.
good. Um, looks like the vitamin D is in a good range. Um,
Yeah.
I
Let me
had somebody ask me about because they didn't do a vitamin D this time, it looks like, but your
No,
your
they
one
didn't.
at 6 months. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I had to actually ask for like vitamin, mineral, all of that to be drawn on me when I saw my doc that last time.
Mhm.
Because there's hardly any that they do, generally. So, and you don't have hepatitis C. So, hey, that's a good
Yay.
thing. Yes. So I think from looking at your lab work, you can see that you just continually improve as time goes on. Where if this was, such the scary thing for people to eat that, some of these people out there are saying, like, you're going to have a heart attack, stroke, kill your kidneys, da da da, and your liver, everything looks better. So that's absolutely proof right there. They say N equals one. There you go.
Yes.
Yours are better. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they look amazing.
Wow,
They
Laura,
do.
I really can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming in to talk about this. I know that this is a huge concern for people when they
Yeah.
think about going on a carnivore diet, particularly what's going to happen to my cholesterol? And I can't say
Yeah.
that, I'm just an N equals one, right? I'm doing
Yeah.
my own N equals one experiment on my own self, and some people do have their cholesterol spike up and go like crazy
Yeah.
through the roof. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Your lean mass hyper responders especially will have that.
right.
Um, I don't consider myself a lean mass hyper responder because I'm not one of those little skinny people, that has that,
Yeah,
that did carnivore. But I've had my cholesterol be in the 3, 4, 500s before, and I am not even a little bit concerned with that
right.
because, if you have a cold, if you have a virus, if you have a bacterial infection, if you're super stressed, if your cortisol is high, if you're exercising, fasting extensively, changing your whole diet around, those are all stressors to the body. That is part of the stress response is you're going to have more of this cholesterol dumped into the bloodstream
Mhm.
because it's what sends like tells the immune, hey, let's get going. It starts to, be the building blocks for your hormones. when you're and we all get oxidation. Oxidation is like if you ever seen an old car back in the day and it looked kind of chalky because the paint looked,
Mhm.
that's called oxidation. That's what it
Yeah.
looks like on a car. In our cells, our brain, and our myelin sheath, it looks like little notches taken up out of
Mm.
it, which allows electrical impulses to come out instead of going through the wire, it goes
Oh,
out.
wow. Mm.
And so the way that our body was created to heal those areas was to allow cholesterol to get in those because those are all cholesterol made. Like the myelin sheath is a double layer of lipid, which is a fat. The brain, so up to 65% fat. So
Mhm.
once you can get that fat back in there, it closes over. That's kind of like putting black tape around a wire that's been
Yeah,
exposed.
right.
Kind of the same idea to
Mhm.
allow it to not be misfiring, but it tells the immune system to come to that area and to start rebuilding and fixing that area. So
Yeah,
that's, I mean, if anything, they, my personal opinion is they are so wrong on cholesterol. They are 180 off. I really think it should be completely the other way of the cholesterol because, like I have
right.
said many times, working in the cath lab, the majority of the patients that we had come in that had significant blockages that either needed stenting or open heart had low cholesterol, very
Mm.
low HDL, LDL because they were taking the dreaded
Right,
medications
right.
and they weren't eating anything that had any fats in them.
Yes,
Low fat, low fat, low fat. And yet here they are completely full of calcium. They have a little bit of cholesterol in those arteries, but the majority of it is calcium,
yes,
magnesium. It's all the minerals that go in to make bone. Um, and I felt bad for them, but they look at you like I did all the right things. I did what the
yes,
doctor told me, and I'm still laying in here, and I'm like, "Yep." So if you were doing exactly what you was told and it didn't work, what are you going to do next time? The
right.
opposite.
Right. I mean, that's what you should do, but I see
Yeah.
here that that is not the common way that people think about things. The doctor
Yep.
still says, "Okay, you had to have stents, you had to have, whatever you had to have, and,
Hmm.
still eat a low-fat diet, and still eat, you know,
Yes.
um, you know, and people follow their that guidance, so,
Yeah.
I'm happy that the labs are really, really good, and I can go tell my
Yes.
husband, like, "My labs are amazing, I'm super good."
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's funny, that literally you could probably not, I mean, I shouldn't laugh. It's not really funny, but you could probably take very young people in your family and have their blood work done, and I think
mm,
they'd be amazing, and that may be a good way to have that conversation with somebody is be like, "Hey, have your labs done. Let's just do a little comparison just to see
right,
how my style of eating has changed my blood work. Let's see where yours is at." Because what
yeah,
I say with most patients is like when they tell me like I've been doing this and but the doctor says to do that, and I'm like, "That's fine. You got to listen to the doctor,
right,
but you also can do the right thing for your own body." So it's not that what the doctor says is absolute black and white and you have to do it. They're making a recommendation. Um, but it's ultimately up to you what you decide to do with that information. You don't have
mm,
to. I follow some of the stuff that they say and some of the stuff I absolutely don't. But to
right,
me, it's just common sense that if you've been doing the things that you were told to do, taking the medicine you were told to do, and you end up on a cardiac cath table or an open heart table,
yeah,
why would you go back and continue to do the same thing when you ended up there already?
right,
And
yeah,
if I'm gonna end up there, I'm gonna end up there because 'cause I'm eating ribeye every day. I don't care.
no, that's right.
That's fine.
I know that's right. That sounds
Yeah.
amazing. There's a couple people in here. Karen is saying that, and this, I found this to be true actually, that doctors really no longer explain and go through all the numbers. They just pick out the cholesterol. Um,
Yep.
and if you don't get the right amount of an appointment time, they may not go over your labs at all. So they have
Which
to have,
is it's that's a tragedy because, anybody anybody, whether you're paying for it out of pocket, if it's your insurance or it's Medicare, the amount of money that goes to a doctor's appointment from these insurance companies, is it's crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, a Medicare appointment at a specialty clinic, so a cardiology, ortho, nephrology, neurologist, anything that's a specialty, that
Mhm.
is a $900 payout.
Wow.
900 bucks, and they're spending
Yeah.
6 minutes with these people. That's pretty good. That's
Yeah, that's
pretty good.
pretty good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
and
So,
I
yeah,
pay
I
for
mean,
mine, so yeah,
that's why I'm thankful for you, Laura, because I knew that I could, you know, I could get you to help me understand what I'm seeing in the numbers. I think it looks good, but just to hear it from a medical professional is really, really helpful. So I appreciate that.
yeah.
Aid is
Yes, you're
here. Hey,
welcome.
Aid. Hopefully, I'm saying your
Hello.
name right. I was in the middle of watching a video that Laura recently made about DC and the deep state. Parasites everywhere. They're amongst us. I haven't seen that video.
Yeah, I made a video on parasites, but
Oh, yeah, you
I
said you were
I
going
don't
to.
yes, I don't think I compared them to DC and the deep state, although I would agree with that analogy. So, but yes, I did, one this morning or yesterday. I'm not sure which day.
Okay.
It
That's
might have
probably
been
why I
this
haven't
morning
caught
on
it yet.
parasites. Yeah,
Oh my
somebody had just
god.
said something about, I've never heard you guys really go into parasites. And I was like, ooh, yes, let's go into parasites. So I did a video on that this morning, of the different types. I
I
didn't
am
include
scared to watch
species.
that.
I just show one picture, like my thumbnail has the pictures. Otherwise, I don't show them because they would gross out most people. And most
Yes,
of
I'm
us,
starting to itch just thinking about
I
it.
know, most of us walking around, we really, if you're healthy, if you
Yeah.
have fixed your body, you're not going to have the trouble with it. I
Mhm.
really, but it's these people that are just metabolically so unhealthy. I
Right.
mean, they're going to be the perfect host for a lot of these different things. I even have somebody who used to have to take acyclovir almost every single day because they would break out with the cold sores, which is the herpes virus.
Mhm.
Um, you know, and being carnivore, and they took lysine, which is another thing you can take to help with any of those types of viral type things. They haven't had any outbreak at all.
Wow.
Nothing.
That's
And I'm like, it's because
amazing.
your immune system is able to fight that off. And, all of us can get around something and get those kinds of things, but our immune system is able to work and do its job like it's supposed to do. So
Yes. Yes, yes.
yes.
So, thanks, Aid. Yeah, that is
Yep.
true. So, I think that's it.
That is it. That's good though. But yeah, I just say congratulations to you. Your lab work looks wonderful. I think there are some 20-year-olds out there that should be jealous, because I guarantee it's much better than the majority of them walking around.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel so good about that. I cannot wait to go upstairs and tell my husband, like, my labs are amazing.
Yeah, I'm really super happy with, and I don't think you ever had kidney trouble, but do you have anybody in your family that has some kidneys issues?
No, I
No?
don't. Not
Okay.
not
Okay.
not that I'm aware of. So,
Okay. I couldn't remember if you did or not.
not that I'm aware of. I have
Well,
a brother-in-law, but
Mhm.
that's, you know,
Right, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
like my
so
brother-in-law.
many people will say, "Oh," well, even my son yesterday was here and he was saying that he was having this weird thing. He switched over to carnivore and he was like, "I had this weird like racing heart thing." And he goes, "Well,
Hmm.
his dad has high blood pressure and his grandpa had high blood pressure." And he says, "Well, so I have it like dad." And I said, "No, you don't." Because I said, when
Mm,
you bend down to tie your shoe and you stand up, I said, "What happens?" He goes, "Oh, I get dizzy." And I said, "Because you have low blood pressure like me." I said, "This is just part of you detoxing and getting rid of that stuff." But we always assume that everything is handed down through the
yes,
family, through our genetics. And
it does.
sometimes it's they're available to be turned on, but most of the time it's because we eat the same way they did. And that's why
Mhm.
we end up getting those same things. So just
So true.
because they load the gun doesn't mean we have to pull that trigger is kind of how I
That
think
is
about it
so
too.
really
So
that is so really, really good. Like, that it's not genetics, really. It
mhm,
is
what you do
it's
with
what
it.
you eat, what you do. Yeah. How you care
Hmm.
for your body. So,
Yeah.
wow, that's good because I know, like I was telling you, I think I told you this before, how I started having these headaches and my blood pressure was going up. I was like, I just intuitively knew that it was blood pressure. So I started taking my
Right.
blood pressure at work every day, and I had started to have hypertension, which my dad has had hypertension all that as long as I can remember. And, so, they put me on the medicine, and then I went on keto because I was like, "I think that I can cure this hypertension with keto," and I did. So,
Hmm.
that is something that I could be prone to if I eat the food that makes that happen in my body. Um, Same thing with, like, type 2 diabetes. I could be prone to that if I allow myself to eat the, foods that cause that to happen. So, I'm
Yeah.
not pulling those triggers.
Nope. That's
The other thing I
exactly
don't
it.
wanna pull the trigger on is dementia.
That's yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Nope. Nope. Yeah. Aid is saying there where he's back on like the yeah about the parasites. I absolutely agree because he doing what he does, he would be very prone if he wasn't healthy to
Mhm,
absolutely get that because those are perfect parasitic little vectors, little carriers. Ticks, being in the forest, the tall, any of that kind of stuff. All of those things are considered parasites. Fleas, any of that type of stuff. So yeah, he would be perfect to get those. So yeah, I'm glad.
mhm.
Let's
Yeah, that
see.
is good. Wow, I did
NJ.
not know, um, that that was a problem for farmers. I had no idea.
Yeah, they
That's
can because they're in such close contact with them, especially if they're doing it the old style, regenerative type, not throwing them in a fenced area that has no grass and just feeding them corn like some of them are doing.
Mhm,
If they're hands on and like with sheep, you have to do the deworming. And I don't think you deworm cows. I don't remember my grandpa deworming cows. Maybe you do. But I do remember my grandpa and I had to help him deworm sheep. And that is
mhm.
not a lot of fun. That was not fun
Yeah, that does
at
not
all.
sound fun. T.
Yeah.
Lewis is here. Hey, T. Lewis. Hi, Dr. Laura.
Yeah.
You're live late. I'm gonna have to rewind to the beginning. I'm interested in how Robin's lab stacked up. Yes, you'll have to watch
Yes,
the beginning and see how it
you
was
will.
because it's very, very interesting.
Yes.
B
Yes.
says, "Congratulations on your great labs." Thank you very much, B. I certainly do appreciate that, and I'm thankful for the carnivore way of eating because I was not doing this good before. NJ is here. Hey, NJ. As a nurse, I'm doing my best to give low carb information. Let those who have ears hear. Thank you, ladies. You're welcome, NJ.
Every day. Every
Absolutely.
day. Every one of my poor little patients
Yep.
get a little snippet.
And then Ada is also saying T2D runs in my family. Really means that your family have been eating carbs for generations. Yep. That's very,
Yep.
very true. I know that, like my family, in my family history, we definitely eat a lot of carbs. So, it's just it is definitely it's a thing with the breads and the not so much pasta, but rice, potatoes, those kind of staples, that what they used to call it, staples types of foods,
Mhm.
flour, you just mix up some cornbread and fry it up in a pan with flour and cornmeal and that's kind of what they ate and stuff, and they ate a lot of oatmeal and I just can't
Doesn't
imagine.
even sound good. Even the sound of oatmeal doesn't even and I years ago, I would eat oatmeal as a kid, but and my mom did the steel cut, so it was like the
Yeah,
actual whole oat. So, I mean, you
yeah.
at least were getting some nutrition back then. It
Yep.
wasn't smashed and pulverized and into a powder that looked like, wallpaper paste, when you cooked it, but just the thought of putting oatmeal in my mouth just makes me, ugh,
I
heebie-jeebies,
know.
not
It's making
anything.
my stomach hurt
Yeah,
a little bit right now just thinking about it.
I know.
Now I like oatmeal cookies, but
Yeah,
oatmeal? No, thank you.
yeah, yeah.
No,
Oh,
thank you.
awesome. Uh,
Cat Diamond
Ada's
is here.
saying
Hey, Cat Diamond.
yes.
I still
She
crave
still
steel cut oatmeal. Wow.
yeah. Yeah, my husband, will have that probably he used to do it, like, every single Sunday. Now he does it, like, 1 Sunday a month, whenever. Um, but I just I never really I liked them back in the day, but even back then so this is something my grandmother did that I'm sure she didn't know was helping because she was German grandma and they just want to fatten you up and then tell you how you're fat, you know,
Uh,
and finish your food on the plate that they put
yeah,
on your and you're like, well, of course I'm freaking fat. You're making
right.
adult side portions, you know. But she would
Exactly.
take my oatmeal and she would actually do either molasses or honey, which yes, they're still sugar, but I don't think they're near as bad as the others it could have been. And
Yeah.
then she would always do like 2 tablespoons of real butter on it, which
Okay.
that's what I tell my keto people. If you're
Yes.
gonna have that, you want to
It
have a
was
fat
that.
with it because that slows how fast that the
Yep.
carbohydrates convert to over. And,
Absolutely. Yes,
that
that's a
when you
very
get
good.
to where you wanna go, you yeah.
Yes, indeed. And aid 100% grass fed, regenerative,
Yay!
ruminant revolution. Yes, yes,
Very
yes,
good.
yes. That's one thing
I
that
don't
I
know
have
where
not
you
found locally is a regenerative farmer that I can work with.
yeah,
So I do have a
yeah,
farm that I work with. I love those guys, but they're not a regenerative farm that I'm aware of. So
yeah,
I kind of want to find one and just see how the meat is.
yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah.
Good
I
afternoon,
we actually
Nelson.
had 2, that we were working with. The one is still, regenerative and does that. The other one that we were going to get some meat from, my husband called me and he was like, "Hey, this guy," he says that, "It's ready. They're gonna send it down to the locker." And I was like, "Hey, don't forget to ask him, like, grass fed, grass finished, or grass fed, corn finished, whatever." Um, no, he is corn the whole time now.
Oh,
And I
wow.
said,
No grazing?
Negatory. None. I
Yeah,
was
no.
like, "Negatory ghostwriter, he can keep his cow."
No.
"Well, I
Yeah,
told him what," and I said, "Well, if you wanna buy that quarter, you go ahead. I'm not purchasing or eating
no,
any
not
of that."
yeah, because that means they're
No.
keeping them, like, locked in
In
a
a
stall, in a
yes,
barn all the time.
yes,
That's not right.
yeah,
No.
and I'm not no, and I said, "Nope, I'm not gonna be part of that," and this is somebody that he's worked with a lot because, he used to work in the car parts thing, and the farmers come in and get stuff, and I was like, "That's fine. If
Yeah,
you have ownership to that, I understand that, but I'm like, I'm not going to do that, and the only way to for him to kinda get it here to not do that is don't buy from him, so I'm not buying from him, so
yeah,
I'm
no,
not
I don't
eating
think
any
I
of
would
his
want
stuff.
to. The one thing I
Eh
love about my farm, I mean, when I go out to the farm, on the way there, I can see the cows out on the range. I can see them out there
exactly.
getting their nutrients and getting that grass,
Yes.
being grass fed.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and they
they
need to be out, like, be
Mhm.
out in the sun, be
Yeah,
out
yeah,
having what they do, they just and I feel the same way about hogs. Now, the town I live in, on the end of our town, we do have a gentleman down there that still does slop hogs, the old style. They're laying out in the mud. They're
yeah,
not in a confinement of any
nice.
sort. Yep,
It's
yep.
nice.
And so, yeah, if I could eat pork, that's where I would be buying it because that's where I
Right.
had bought it before.
Mhm.
But I just am not able to do that. So Dr. Nelson says, yes, add butter with a side of eggs to that oatmeal or
Or
skip
skip
the
the oat
oatmeal.
Just have butter and eggs. There you go.
That would be tasty.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Yes.
And then Ada's saying, guess what? It turns out that livestock do better when exposed to sunlight every day, as well as the grass and herbage. Well, just like humans, we need to
Absolutely.
be exposed to sunlight every day too. So, but yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
so Aid, I have a question for you because I was talking with my cousin yesterday about cows and animals and how like we attribute like human feelings to animals. They were talking about happy cows, and I'm wondering, like, is that actually a thing? Are cows actually
Yes.
happy? And
They will play. They actually will frolic and jump around together, especially when they're young. You'll see
mhm,
them just doing crazy stuff, especially if they have other types of animals out in the field with them, at least what I've seen. Um, like if you have a dog that's like a herding dog that they
mhm.
have a good relationship with, it's hilarious. I mean, I even had one on my grandpa's farm that would play kickball.
What?
It would he would literally kick the ball back to you. Yeah, he
Mhm.
absolutely loved to do that. He was just like the happy go the jester of the group. But yeah, he was a goofball, and he'd play in the
Aw,
snow. He'd put his nose down and flip the snow up. I mean, he just was that way. So, yeah, I would
wow.
much prefer, just like the deer that I shoot, I much prefer that they're out in their natural habitat doing their thing, living life the best they can, to them being pinned up and
Right.
not getting any kind of a life. So I don't want that either. But um, yeah, I think animals are pretty good, and it makes complete sense that having them out in nature, they're going to be better. I
Yes.
mean, I think, like
Absolutely.
Carrie Mann says, the further we get away from nature, the sicker we've gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
We absolutely, need to we need to go back in some ways to some of the things that we used to do before, which, yeah, we've really screwed ourselves up, sadly, with all of this process and ultra process and seed oils and all the things that we've been doing over the last 100 years have really made us very, very sick. So livestock are happy when they're free. They only have one bad day and they don't know that it's going to be a bad day. There's absolutely no animal abuse in the supply chain. And ruminants make soil, crops make dirt. Thank you for that, Aid, because I think my cousin was talking to me about she was in Whole Foods Market. I've never seen this. She was in Whole Foods Market and she saw that they had a beef carcass hanging, and I was like, what Whole Foods is this? I've never seen that. But yeah, I mean, obviously,
yeah,
our beef has to come off of a carcass of a cow, right? She said
yeah.
she felt so bad for the animal that she almost didn't want to eat beef anymore after she saw that, because she never thought about the beef really as an animal like that. And like that's a life and it
Mm,
had to die. And, so now it's
right.
hanging here as a whole big thing. But I love what you said about that they only have one bad day,
And they don't know
and
it's coming.
they don't know that it's coming. She thought,
Right.
like, maybe the animals were afraid for their lives, they know that it's coming, and they're just scared.
Wow.
And I said, "I'm gonna go and ask somebody." So thank you, Aid, for being here to talk about that, because I am like, I didn't really have a response for that. I mean, your emotional, uh the way you feel emotionally when you see an animal carcass, right? That's a
Mhm.
personal thing. I don't feel that way. When I see an animal carcass, I'm
Yeah.
like, thank you very much for your life that
I
is
was
going to
just gonna say,
sustain me.
and I think, this is just me speaking because I've always lived nowhere near big cities, but I think the longer people have lived in cities for generations, they're away from all of that and they haven't seen that. And so that is something that looks odd to them, where
Yes.
you can come October, November, December, any day, and you're gonna see deer that I've taken the hide off, and they're gonna be
Mhm.
hanging from a rafter in my garage,
Yeah.
cooling out. And to me, but it's the same way with, like, when I shoot an animal, I make very ethical shots. I don't make questionable shots. I don't make running shots. I don't shoot animals that are running. And literally to this day, I've never had to shoot an animal but one time, and it's done. And I am always very thankful. And it's always been, I'm not as crazy as Ted Nugent when it comes to like saying, thank you, Lord, da, da, da. But I do, I'm like, thank you for, letting me make a good clean shot, no suffering, everything's done, I do my thing,
Yeah.
and for feeding myself and my family for the next, 5 months off of this animal.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
do see it as that. And I've also seen the other side of where we had years where we had overpopulations of deer, and then they got all these diseases and started dying off, and it is horrible to watch some of these animals when they got sick from being overpopulated and getting like CWD, chronic wasting disease,
Mhm.
EHD, which is episodic hemorrhagic something disease. um, but they just suffered so bad, and I mean, I shot deer and just put them out of their misery because you can't eat them because 'cause they're just,
Right.
you know but
Sick.
it was horrible to see that, yeah, because it got, there was like a 5-year span there where like all of a sudden a lot of these people weren't deer hunting. Some of that was because these outfitters come from bigger other areas and pay thousands of dollars to hunt these areas. So a lot of people lost their hunting ground that were local. And so
Right.
those, nothing against the outfitters, but they're not coming to get deer to eat. They want these giant racks and that's all they care about. So
Yeah.
they'll leave them lay and they don't ever shoot does. And if you don't take out an equal number of everything, then your population gets a mess. And we've
Right.
had that happen a couple times. And like I said, it's miserable seeing, I don't want to see any animal suffer. I'm an animal lover. I do not want to see them suffer. So
I think that's the thing is
that's
that,
what I've
I think
seen.
that, like, a lot of vegans, don't realize that carnivores actually love animals. We love and appreciate animals and are thankful for them.
Absolutely.
It's not like we are, wanna just kill animals for the sake of killing them. So, few things that are in here. Let me just see here. Ada's saying the closer to paleo man or his good wife that we get, the healthier we become. Yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
And then Renee's saying if you dispatch a scared cow, it will have a wild taste in the meat. You will know it. Mm,
Same with deer, same with, like, say, Russian wild boars or hogs that you hunt that are, like, out naturally. Same thing. If they're running scared and they've got, their hormones just are rushing through, you can taste it. So, yeah.
mhm. Okay, so that's why you don't kill an animal while it's running.
I do not
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that hormone is running through there. I've had a deer and I could absolutely tell you, I was like, "Oh, great. This tastes like a Michelin tire. Thanks. Yummy. No,
Oh,
thanks."
man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
No.
Okay, and then,
Mm.
Laura, yes, the city people are disconnected from their food supply. Absolutely. I mean, literally,
Yeah.
people think that you just go to the store and you buy the meat. They don't think
Yeah.
about the fact that that meat comes from an animal that was once alive.
I had a lady, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I just did a video of, like, where I'd taken, like, one of the hindquarters and brought in and was, showing how to cut that up, and I think I was cold packing it or whatever. And she was like, "Oh, that poor animal, I can't believe you're gonna eat that." And I'm like, I just assumed she was maybe vegan.
Right.
No, but she gets hers from a grocery store, and I said, "It was on a hoof somewhere in its behind here, like, before
Right.
this happened to it, it was on hoof somewhere." Now, with the lab created meat, maybe it wasn't, but back
Yeah.
then, it was on a hoof at some point, and I was like, "It wasn't born in cellophane." It
Right.
didn't come like that. Yeah, but it just was like it's totally blew my mind that that's what she thought. Because I was like, but there again, I'm in that area where we do that all the time, and she
Mhm.
was definitely a city dweller that was like
Yeah.
had never seen any of that, so which that made sense.
Yeah, and I think
Oh, me.
that's kinda my cousin, she didn't think about the fact that, all of the meat that you're eating is coming off of a carcass. We were talking about my aunt, who is my cousin's mom, And she was saying that when she was a little girl, 4 years old, she used to have to go and ring the chicken, like, go outside, get a
Yes.
chicken, and
Yep.
ring
Wring
the
its
neck,
neck. Yep.
and then they would dip it in the pot of hot water and pluck off all the feathers, and that's
Yep.
how they would
Yep.
have meat to eat. And she
Yep.
was like, "I don't think I could do it." I was like, "Yeah, I think I could definitely do it. If I
Oh,
had to
yeah.
do it, I
If
would
you're
definitely."
yeah. Yeah. I have actually done that when I was younger. So,
Yeah, I've
um,
never done it, but I think I would do it, if that
yeah.
was necessary for me to do, you know?
Yes.
I can go to
Yep.
my
Yep.
farmer and get the chicken. But yeah, so
Yes.
that was very
I
interesting.
yeah.
So B is saying that TikTok and some dietitians are hyping oatmeal as the new Ozempic. What?
Yeah.
What? I don't get it.
Well,
I don't get that.
the same people that are saying that are the same people that make up the pyramid, the food pyramid now called the My Plate, and the
Mhm.
diabetic association's recommendations for diabetics. So I have somebody that showed me their My Plate from when they came home from the hospital, and for a breakfast for a diabetic, oatmeal, brown sugar on it, a glass of orange juice, and a whole banana.
For a diabetic? The
And I
heck?
said I looked at him and I said, "Well, even if you were not a diabetic, if you follow this way of eating, you're gonna become one pretty damn quickly." So that
Right.
just shows you they're not in the business for getting you better. They want to
No.
keep you on there so that they can do this with you. Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's a bummer.
it's disgusting. It
Yeah,
is.
that's not right. Yeah, that's not right at all. Ada's saying we always thank the animal for giving us sustenance and life. You will never find a
Yep,
better conservationist than a farmer, forester, whaler, or hunter. I agree.
yep,
Absolutely. And
true.
Renee has plucked many chickens.
Yes,
Yes.
and boy, if you don't get them in the water just hot enough,
Yeah.
that's a workout. It definitely helps, especially turkey. Oh,
Oh my gosh, I can't
yeah.
even imagine. But I would do it if I had to. So Tootie, what's her name, wants to know exactly what blood test did you ask for all of this? I went to my doctor and she said, time for you to have your labs. And this is what she ordered. And I was going to ask you, Laura, like, I know
Yeah.
that there's a book out here. It's called Common Sense Labs by Dr. Ken Berry. I definitely need
Yep.
to read that book. But what did you think was missing from my labs that I should have asked for? I know you said the glycated albumin is a good one.
Yep. I would have gotten glycated albumin and I would have asked for a full vitamin mineral panel.
Okay.
Yep. Also, the TSH is one portion of a thyroid, but you really need to know what your free T3 and your free T4 are, um, because we go after the thyroid for not having the right levels, and really it's usually the pituitary is the problem, but we bastardize the thyroid, and most of the time it's not that. So, but yeah, those
Okay.
that's what I would ask for. Trying to think if there'd be anything else. The lipids, I would also ask for particle size um,
Mm.
of your LDL, because like my LDL is 193. So my doctor
Mhm.
was like, "Oh my God." And I was like, "Yay." And she was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Well, let's look at what the particle size were." Well, mine were ginormous. They were just, that's
Mm.
all I mean, that's literally, they said gigantic is what
Oh,
they
wow.
said.
Okay.
Um, yeah, very large, fluffy, which is the kind you want. You don't want the ones that are broken, little jagged pieces that can get caught in places. And they're not as good of a carrier. So LDL actually is our carrier. It's actually a protein carrier. So you want the good fluffy kind. So that's the other
Okay.
one that I would do.
All right. So I'll make sure that I next time when I go back in, I guess in about a year, I'll go back and have it done again, and then I'll make sure that I add additional things that I need to that I want to, kind of see what else there is. Aid loves Ted Nugent. So you brought
I
up Ted
do
Nugent.
too, but he just there's been a couple times that I've watched his hunting shows,
Mm.
and of course he always breaks into song, but he's a little older than me. I think maybe a little more hippie-ish or something, but he just was a little, I was like, I
Was
don't know
woo-woo
about
too woo-woo for you?
a little too woo woo. I mean, but I do align with most of Ted Nugent. Yes. But
Nice.
just that I was like, I don't know. I don't know. So yeah.
Okay, couple more. I have a chicken plucker
Good.
made from a washing machine. Also have one that you can put on a drill. Okay,
I
that
have
makes
seen the
it very
one that you can put on the drill. I have seen that one, but I haven't seen the other one.
okay, and then TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone test. It's an anti-inflammatory marker test, and never look at an inflammatory marker in isolation. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So this is another thing. So if you are somebody that has lots of inflammation, like say you have joint trouble, if you have autoimmune, anything like that, another two tests that I would always ask for would be CRP, that's
Mm-hmm.
C-reactive protein, and
Mm-hmm.
ESR. Those are the two that if you want to see truly what your inflammatory markers, that's what I would do.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
very good then.
Yeah.
Last one. Yep, Laura, I just looked at my hospital recommendation for diabetics. Half a plate of vegetables, quarter of a plate of wheat, rice, and other carbs like fruit and protein from beans, soy, etc.
Nope.
Oh, oh my
Throw
gosh.
it
So
away.
we're not expecting diabetics to be cured of diabetes on this plan.
No, that is
They will
not
not.
their
They're not going to be cured
yeah,
of diabetes on this plan. So, no.
no, nope.
But we know they can
And that
be, so, we're gonna just encourage that. Yes, and so Ada's also saying
yep.
that Dr. Berry has a video, so yes, that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking, when I was at the
and I have the
doctor, I
book.
was thinking I didn't have the information I needed.
Yeah. I actually have that book. I just don't know what I did with the book, but I have it somewhere. It's
Yeah,
in my room here, but I was making product earlier, so it's all it's all over the place. Um, they are delicious. Organic chicken feet.
mm, so delicious. I have not ever
I
had
just made
chicken
bone
feet.
broth. Oh,
Yeah, I have
really?
not had chicken feet, nope,
Oh.
never had it.
I can remember coming home and seeing my grandmother's stew pot sitting on the stove and yeah, chicken feet. Ugh. It freaked me out because I was a kid at the time and I
Yeah.
was thinking and of course I didn't realize that you pull off that skin before you put
Okay.
them in, that outer but
Oh.
so all I had seen him walking around on all the stuff outside and I was like, "Ugh, I'm not eating any of that." Of course, I'm sure I did. I would have never
Mhm.
have known it. So
I
yeah,
definitely would
that
eat
cat
it.
yeah,
Yeah, I
cat
like pig feet
the
too, so
the
mhm.
yeah, know your labs book is what that's
Oh,
called.
okay, gotcha. And then a C-reactive protein test must be a high sensitivity CRP test. There's a difference and it's important. I will make sure that I'm prepared before I go my next lab appointment and get all the list of everything that I would like her to add to my panel, and then we'll come back in a year and talk about it.
Yes, we will see how it is.
Yes. Well, Laura, I think we
Perfect.
have we have sufficiently covered this topic. I really,
Yes,
really appreciate you and your expertise and
you're
taking the
welcome.
time out to go over these labs with me. And thank you
Yeah.
for telling me that they're good
Yes,
and not
they are
bad.
good. Nope, you're doing wonderful. I'm just hoping that more people will see this and
Yeah,
they'll be they get because yes, I'm a medical professional, but I am not a doctor. But at least then they can see that, hey, maybe I do need to. And I always encourage people to try to work with your doctor,
yes.
but you can't always do it, as you just saw what B said with what she was sent home from the hospital.
Yeah.
You try and you hope, and there are some excellent doctors. I've worked with some wonderful doctors before
Mhm.
in the field. So they're out there. I think a lot of them just they can't say what they want to say.
That's
But I,
true.
I do have a doctor right now that I won't list. But literally, when he's seeing a patient, he'll have a thing of sticky notes, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, your cholesterol's high," and he'll be like, exercise more. And then he gives them the sticky note, but it don't go in the chart. And I was like, smart, because he knows he has to type in there what the governing body of his hospital
Mhm.
has told him he has to say. But then
Right.
he actually, yeah. So yeah,
Give them a little side
they're out
note. That's nice. That's nice. All right, you guys, I am gonna hit the sack. I know, Laura, it's probably your bedtime too.
it's getting close.
Getting close. All right, you guys. So thank you so much for stopping by. I'm glad that we were able to do this tonight. And like this video, share it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
share this video out because
And watch
what
us
do we got?
tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tomorrow night we'll be back Monday night with Meaty Mondays with the Fierce Felines with Laura and Robin and G, and of course news you can use from the community from Rhonda. So yeah, definitely come out and come back and be with us again tomorrow night. Thanks again, Laura.
Yes.
All right, you
You're
guys.
welcome.
See you next time.
Bye-bye. Mhm.